Welcome to Just Break Up, the podcast about love, heartbreak, and all the relationship advice you don't want to hear. My name is Sierra DeMulder.
And I'm Sam Blackwell. And today we're going to answer a letter from somebody who doesn't want to keep trying. But before we begin, we just want to give you our Surgeon General's warning, which is that Sierra and I are not licensed mental health practitioners.
No, we are not. We are not professionals. We are not trained in any of this. This podcast is a supplement to your personal journey.
Yeah, we're like a vitamin. You know, we're useless. You just pee us out.
Oh my God. This is all to say you should literally take everything that we say with a grain of salt and take our advice as you see fit. We're only here to offer our humble musings to hopefully shed some understanding and maybe some laughs about the incredibly rewarding but mostly confusing experience that is love. All right, I'm going to just dive into today's letter. It's from the bad guy, whose pronouns are she, her, who is writing to us from Aftermath, USA. Content warning for this letter: there are very brief mentions of an eating disorder and physical and psychological abuse. Hi, Sam and Sierra. Me and my husband have been together for 10 years now. We have a beautiful 2-year-old daughter who is perfect in every way that a 2-year-old can be, and we both love her very much and want what's best for her. He is a wonderful and involved father, and he's so kind and supportive and loving as a husband as well. But our relationship did not start out like this picture perfect picket fence stupidity. For the first 7-ish years, neither of us were very good partners to each other. I had an intense eating disorder and often made him worried about my well-being because of it. He was incredibly physically and psychologically abusive, and I feared for my life nearly every day. I won't go into details, but it was bad. I tried to leave multiple times during the first years for reasons ranging from I just don't want to be in this relationship to you keep saying things will change and they never do. I always went back. But when he found out that I was pregnant 3 years ago now, everything changed. He hasn't done anything since, and he is the most loving and supportive human I know. I've been in therapy for years now, and we just started couples therapy about 6 months ago after years of me begging him to go. I'm trying to make this relationship work and to reward his changed behavior and the fact that he's an amazing father and husband. But I want out. I am 90% sure that I do not want to be in this relationship anymore. It's not even that I am still scared. It's I don't love him anymore. His emotional style doesn't connect with mine, and I guess I'm still a little bit scared. But I don't think it's his fault. It's more just who I am. That being said, I feel like I can talk to him about most things. He can be funny and creative, and we have similar interests, and I think similar values. It's hard for me to trust his values have changed, but that is what he says. We talk about our relationship, and I've told him that I want a divorce and that I don't love him. But he really thinks things can change, that this relationship is somewhere I can be happy if we keep trying. I know that if I cannot be all in with the relationship, then therapy will never work. And everywhere I go, I read things about how, quote, any relationship can work if you just try hard enough. I feel like the bad guy, the problem, because I want to give up on this relationship. I want to find somewhere out there not tainted by an awful communal past where I can feel safe and connected and where things can be easy at least 30% of the time. I feel like I've completely checked out. I'm hitting on guys at the bar and enjoyed it when they flirt back, and I'm telling people that I'm already divorced and just being a total asshole. I feel like my temper is getting shorter and shorter with my husband at home. I hate who I am, and I feel like it's so different than who I want to be. As awful as it sounds, I wish he hadn't changed so that this decision wouldn't make me the bad guy. Logically, I know that would absolutely not help anything. I also don't want to hurt him by leaving him. I don't want to hurt our daughter by breaking up the family when it could be good if I just tried hard enough. If this relationship can be good if I just try hard enough, then don't I owe it to him to be all in? And how do I even do that? How do you want something that you just don't want? I know this is a long, convoluted question. I apologize. I guess I'm just hoping for some sort of something.
All right, the bad guy. Thank you for writing to us. I want to say that you are not the bad guy in this situation because there are lots of different circumstances in this that are making things way more complex than just one person is good and one person is bad. I want to say that I am sorry that this relationship has been so tumultuous, so abusive, and that you're feeling, even as things seem to be getting better, this sense of unease in this relationship. And I want to say that it's really understandable that you still are struggling to trust that you are in this place where you are feeling like you can't get to a point where you want to make this relationship work. And I want to say from the outset that that's okay. That is your prerogative. That is a choice that you get to make in this relationship and for yourself. So we're going to get into some ideas, some love for you in this situation in just a moment. But before that, we're going to take a quick break.
All right, my darling. Thank you so much for writing and trusting us with this letter. I feel honored to tell you that you absolutely have tried hard enough to make this relationship work. And you, as a human being who deserves respect, physical safety, kindness, love, empathy, effort, returned effort, you 100% have done everything that you can do to make this relationship work, and you have every right to leave it. You have a right to be the bad guy. Yep. And let me let you in on a little secret. There doesn't have to be a bad guy for you to justify you leaving. You don't need him to be bad or then you become bad, right? To say like, this is no longer working. You're right. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt you. It's going to hurt your husband. It's sad when things don't work out. It's also an absolutely understandable outcome after years of physical and emotional abuse that you can't just start over, that you can't let go of the fact that he made you feel that way and he treated you that way, right? You deserve to start over. It's okay that you can't let go of the past. It's okay that you can't fully forgive. It's okay that you can't fully be safe. You've done enough. You wrote, like can I just make it work if I tried harder? You tried hard enough. You did it.
Tried. Yeah, absolutely.
And there's no community service that you need to do to make this work. There's nothing that I know for a fact that I have stuck around in shitty and abusive relationships because I just wanted to make all of that shittiness worth it. I wanted to be like, I stuck around and guess what? Look, we have a great relationship now. But even if he's not physically and emotionally abusing you anymore, is he the person you want to be with, or do you just want to make it work and make it all worth something?
Right.
I think you're worth it. You are worth making this decision for. It doesn't have to be for him. It doesn't even have to be for your daughter, although that is an added bonus. Don't think about it that you're separating a family. Think about it from the perspective that you are going to show your daughter how not to settle for something, how to listen to your intuition, to listen to your heart, to prioritize your safety and your well-being, and show your daughter that you shouldn't stay in relationships just to appease the cultural idea of a family, right? Families look all different in all different ways. And from the perspective of a divorced child from an abusive marriage, I am thrilled, literally thrilled that my parents separated because they were able to grow and heal in ways that they would not have been able to access if they were in the same relationship. It affected my childhood in only good ways. Because guess what? I didn't have to listen to my parents fight or see the physical ramifications of that in my childhood, right? Like I didn't conflate those ideas with love only a little bit.
Yeah, it's like maybe a skosh.
Yeah, maybe a tiny bit. But my parents, I think I just have the right lived experience and my parents separated at the right time in my life for me to grow up and really understand that was like a beneficial thing that they did. Because if they had stayed together, it would have escalated and it would have been way more catastrophic. So think of it as a gift that you're giving yourself that will have its benefits to your child. Spencer always jokes that I say that I'm pro-divorce. I don't want people to look at divorce as this huge damaging failure. It can hurt people 100%.
For sure.
We have cultural conditionings around divorce that we failed our marriage and that we're, quote, breaking up our family. You are always a family. You are always a family. And we're not going to, let's just throw out the idea in 2023 that we're going to prioritize, where the family sleeps over the actual health and safety and the emotional growth of the people in the family. I'm just bonkers to me.
No, for sure.
All makes sense. I'm just like ranting because I feel like we prioritize the staying together over the actual health. And you will be giving your daughter an immense gift because guess what? You're already seeing what it's like when you repress your needs and stay somewhere that you don't want to be. You're already acting out, right? You're already acting out to get what you're not getting from your marriage by, flirting and like telling people that you're divorced. Like that is the roundabout not way to do this, but I know why you're doing it. I know why you're doing it because you can't give yourself permission just to say like, I want out. I've tried enough. I'm sorry,
Yep.
But you have every right to say that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to like Sierra's point, if this man is truly changed, if he is becoming a very supportive and loving human, then he can also be a supportive and loving co-parent, right? Like, I think that this will, if the only reason why he's being loving and supporting you is to keep you in a situation you don't want to be in, then like that is part of the problem, right? It's a continuation of the behavior that he exhibited in the first 7 years of your relationship. Right. So I think that like you asking him for this for yourself will hopefully elicit a result that says like, yep, absolutely. If this is what we need to do, I will still be there for you and be there for the child. And I know lots of people who have really wonderful, loving co-parenting relationships with each other who have been divorced, right? Either because they got divorced because of a specific reason or because of the fact that they just didn't love each other anymore or because they knew that they weren't good with each other in relationship. And I think that it's perfectly possible to do that. And like Sierra said, maybe even healthier for, your daughter to see her parents love each other and not look at one as like a shell of a person who's like totally self-effacing to keep their relationship going. And so I think as you're thinking about this, this behavior that you're exhibiting around, like I'm flirting with people and I'm telling people that I'm already divorced. I think what you're trying to do is you're trying to get him to break up with you, right? Yep. You're trying to become so bad that he doesn't want to be with you anymore. And that's a tactic. Like I'm not going to like say that it's not an effective tactic for sure, but I do think that like for yourself, standing your ground here, sort of pushing back and saying, I want this divorce is going to happen. So we're going to need to figure out how it's going to work is actually going to be a more effective option for you to make sure that this loving and supportive relationship that's blossomed from the birth of your daughter is also going to then extend into the co-parenting relationship that the two of you are going to have. And I know that it kind of sucks to be like, I've been putting so much effort into this relationship and now I have to put effort into the end of this relationship. Like, I wish that you could just like end it quickly and not have to work through any of this, but breakups, and especially sort of divorces or breakups that are going to move towards a future relationship, take work. They take time. And as you're thinking about how to do this, I would encourage you to break up with your therapist. Like, continue to go to the couples therapist as you are in the process of doing this divorce so that you two can still figure out how to be in relationship with each other for the benefit of the fact that you still care about this man, right? And he still clearly cares about you, but also so that you can be a really good team when it comes to co-parenting this beautiful, wonderful daughter that you have. But I think that the only way that you can do that, or at least, I think that one of maybe the more effective or maybe the more nutritious way of doing that is going to be about standing your ground around this breakup rather than trying to act out in a way that's going to make him want to leave you instead, especially given the volatility that he has had in your relationship, and the fact that this kind of behavior might trigger some sort of continued abuse in the relationship, right? Like, I want you to take advantage of the kindness that this person has moved into to get out of this relationship in a safe way, because the fact that you don't trust him is totally understandable, given the fact that he has been violent to you physically and emotionally in the past. And I want to make sure that you're doing this in a way that's going to keep you and your daughter as safe as possible, knowing that, I know that it hasn't been happening in the last few years, but knowing that that is a pattern that your relationship can fall into really, really quickly.
Yep. That was exactly the next point I was going to make, is that the first thing I thought of upon reading this letter is that I want you to make a plan to, when you leave this relationship, like you would if the violence was still happening, because we don't know what this is going to trigger, yada, yada. And I don't want to speak lightly about that whatsoever, because we all know that could instigate something again.
For sure. Can I just also interrupt for just a second and say one thing about your letter? I just want to say that there's no equivalency between you having an eating disorder that was hard for him to handle and him being physically and emotionally abusive to you, right? The way that you sort of talked about that in your letter is we both did bad things to each other, and sure, I get that. Absolutely. And like I said, there's you having an eating disorder that made him concerned about your well-being is not the same as him hurting you physically and emotionally, right? You're not sort of equal players in the unhealthy dynamic that was that relationship. For sure, right. We can talk about how your eating disorder made him feel and how that sort of impacted him, but it's definitely the equivalency between those things is absolutely untrue. It is not, you were not equal players in the unsafety that existed in that relationship.
Yes, I absolutely agree.
Just wanted to I like that.
Oh,
that,
yeah.
I just want. I didn't want to gloss over that.
Let's stay on that note for a second. I just want to say yeah, I would want out of this relationship too. Period. That's all I want to say is I often think about something on this show that Sam taught me about how it's the delayed revelation of healing that happens, or of clarity or whatever that happens when you're in a traumatic situation or a stressful, toxic situation or abusive, whatever. Let's think about it this way. You were in this relationship for so long. It was bad when it was really bad. And then somehow it got better. You had a child. You were really forced to put a lot of that stuff on the back burner for this daughter, and now that it has been good, now that you can take a deep breath, your baby is a toddler, so you're not quite needed in the same way that you were when she was an infant, and your partner finally decided to go to therapy. You are at a place of safety that your nervous system literally has not accessed in years. And all of a sudden, you are giving yourself permission to say, wow, all of that shit I experienced, I'm not over it. I'm not over it. And I fucking would not be over it either. I wouldn't be over it.
No, absolutely not.
It makes sense to me that there's this delayed revelation, right? Yeah. There's this delayed permission to say, oh my God, that was all awful. And I can't forgive you. I can't unsee this. And that's what it is, honey. We endure things, and then often with time we can say, wow, I will never be able to unsee that. I can't unendure what I endured from you. And it is forever. This is what you can say to him. I love you. I'm so proud of the growth and change you've been through over the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. And I see and honor that growth.
Yep.
And I cannot unexperience the person that you were. That person will always be a part of who you are to me.
Yep.
And I deserve And you deserve to be with people without this history. You deserve to be seen as this better person, this more healed person. You know, you deserve to be with somebody who loves all of you and is capable of loving you presently and not constantly drawn back to that place of fear, you know? And you deserve to be with somebody who doesn't physically and emotionally abuse you or abused you.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Whew, this is hard. You know, this is like, it's again, one of those situations like so many of the letters that we read where it is so hard in the middle of it. And so easy to look outside of it and say, here's the clear thing that we should be doing or thinking about. We're with you in the messy awkwardness of all of this. And we just want to say that you can trust this instinct that you have, this feeling that's finally emerging after years of fear to say, I don't want to be in this anymore. I've spent enough time trying to placate this person, trying to get him to stabilize enough that we can both be safe. And now I'm realizing I don't love him. I don't actually want to be in this. I'm done trying. I'm done giving all of this effort to this relationship. It's okay to do that. And I want you to be really honest about that. I want you to trust that that is absolutely true for you and that you have every right to decide that this relationship isn't for you. And you can demand and ask for and work towards finding a way to extract yourself from this relationship in a way that's going to be supportive and helpful and is going to take the best care possible of you and your daughter.
Yeah, absolutely. We're sorry you're in this situation because it's all hard.
Absolutely.
I know that this advice is only goes so far and that you're going to be stuck with the aftermath of it. But all of these feelings are reasonable and you deserve, it's okay. It's okay to be the bad guy. We are all bad guys. We can't move through a life without having to be the bad guy and making the harder decision, you know.
For sure.
All right, my darling. I love you so much. We hope this helps.
Thank you so much for writing. We love you.
All right.
Blind date, baby.
That brings us to the blind date segment of our show. Once a week, we like to shout out something that we love that we want to set you up with. And this week, we are sending you home with
a TV show called Love and Death. It is on Max now, although I'm always going to call it HBO Max.
I know, forever. Who?
Yeah, right. Never heard of her. It is a miniseries by David E. Kelley, who I absolutely love, starring Elizabeth Olsen, about two church-going families in the late 1970s. And one of them has an affair with the other, and then things sort of like unravel in like a very
based on a true story,
traumatic way. Yes, it's absolutely based on a true story. And I've kind of like moved away from true crime stuff in a lot of different ways. But what I really liked about this show was that the majority of it takes place before the murder happens, and it is much more just about the interesting interpersonal relationships that this couple and this community had with each other, that were like, there was so much that was fraught and unsaid. Like, it's very David E. Kelley type of storytelling. You know, David E. Kelley also did like Pretty Little Lies and, like Ally McBeal, The Practice, right? There's like a bunch of stuff that is really interesting about the way that he does storytelling. And I just really liked it. Elizabeth Olsen, I feel like the gayest person for saying this, but like, I think that Elizabeth Olsen is like one of the greatest actresses of our time.
I love her.
And I think it's one of those like, for all of the gays who are so like, funny. Yes, any actress that can like sort of cry on cue and look like really good doing it. We're like, oh my God,
Sarah
give this woman an Oscar.
Yeah, absolutely. I love both of these women.
No, it's like Laura Dern, like absolutely anyone who can do this for us. She just like does such an amazing job in this. Like, it was just a joy to watch her perform in this show.
Totally.
Peter and I really loved it. We're going to watch the other one. There's like one about the same murder on
Candy.
Hulu as well. Yeah. With Jessica Biel. So we're going to watch that one too, just to like compare and contrast. But I really liked Love and Death and would recommend it for anyone who enjoys like kind of slow paced, but also like very interesting and dramatic miniseries.
Yeah. All right.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. If you want more content from us, or if you want ad-free episodes, you can always support us on Patreon. If you support us on Patreon for as little as $5 a month, you'll get an additional weekly bonus episode, as well as access to all of our episodes without ads. That's patreon.com/justbreakuppod.
You can slide into our DMs, send us your favorite relationship memes, but most importantly, you can submit your questions about all matters of the heart at justbreakuppod.com, which is also where you can find our merchandise.
Please remember to like, follow, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating and review. This literally keeps our mics on and helps us reach more brokenhearted souls who need 2 random strangers giving them relationship advice.
Just Break Up is a production of Duvid Media, original music recording, producing all magical things by our good friend, Spencer Worth Davis. Make sure to check out his music and podcasts. And remember, it's okay if you tried really hard and it still didn't work out. You did the best that you could. It's okay to walk away from something that isn't working. You tried to make it work. I know you did. You deserve to feel safe and loved and appreciated now, in the future, and in the past. It's okay to walk away. And if all else fails,
just break up.